Okay, we are recording, so good evening. Oh, look, everybody's so happy. Let's ruin the mood with talking about bang bang shooty shooty robots.
Shockwave. Soundwave.
So, all right.
It's a gift from Monday.
I've thought long and hard about how we could start this Transformers talk off, and I hope this works. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna edit it into the video. This was what got me interested initially. So I'm going to show you this bit of video. So if I press this button here, and I'm going to show you, hopefully this works. Has something come up on your screens?
Yeah, we got it.
Right. Now you should have seen. Yeah, you should have seen this before. Right. I remember seeing this 15 years ago. Bear in mind, we'd had so many years of lots of things. You know, false dawns, false promises, and then I saw this, and it's a car that transforms and dances. And I thought, okay, and it looks like a robot. And I thought, that's cool. That reminds me of toys I used to have. And then look at that. It transformed. Let me just stop that share. And then it transformed back into a car. I saw that the first time at a cinema and said, oh, when they do a Transformers movie, they can do it like that. It'll look real. We will have cars that we remember that transform into that like it was in the cartoon. And now we've got technology like that, they can do it. What the friggin' hell did they do with this shit? Carry on.
It was around the same time that advert came out that they announced they were making it. Spielberg was the producer, and they brought out the Optimus Prime, the vehicle, and said, we're going to be making the movie. It's coming. We're with you in 2007. And yes, I was so excited because I love Transformers. I'd got a shitload of Transformers I'd bought in ready for when the film came out to exploit as many people as I could to buy all my G1 stuff. And then the designs actually came out. And
I think, you know,
I wondered if we'd froze up then, but no.
I think we were in stunned silence. I remember seeing the Transformers film, the original, at the definitive Transformers movie, not that lot, and I thought, this is going to be amazing. How good are they going to do this? Martin's holding up the popular DVD format of that said movie, and I just thought, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be brilliant. Spielberg's involved. What happened with this, where Michael Bay decided, I'll make that, no problem, and decided not to watch it? Because almost immediately, fanboys like me, who I'm quite forgiving, as has already been revealed in various other franchise wars we've done, I'm like, here we go, this is going to be brilliant. And then they did that to us. Optimus Prime isn't Optimus Prime. Nobody is the same. They're not the correct vehicles. Don't talk to me about the transforming bit. There's shit flying about everywhere. Mark talks about Godzilla and Jurassic Park, saying how many dinosaurs you've got. Why in the Transformers movie, when you went to see robots, do they try and eliminate and take as much out of them as possible and keep it fairly secret? And the biggest ball ache I have with this, there's a scene in it at Sam Witwicky's house where Optimus Prime and the Autobots are trying to hide and evade being seen.
Playing hide and seek,
stumble and trip over things. It is just chronic. And they've made 5 of the bloody things.
I remember when the trailer came out, we saw Optimus Prime for the first time, and he got a mouth, and it was really odd because they humanized him in the trailer. and he hadn't got the shield over his mouth talking. It was just strange.
That was to make it gritty and real. It was to immerse it in realism. They gave him a mouth.
But if we take the design of the Transformers out of this, take the design of the Transformers out, it's great. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It's wonderful. I love it.
The first movie.
I love the first movie. Okay, we got there's too much of a human element, but the reason is they threw money at it, but not enough money at it to keep enough of the Transformers in. So as per usual, it was grind the human element into it as much as we can, and then throw Transformers.
Go on, Ronan, tell us what you think.
I think my biggest issue with the first movie, with all of these movies, they are just too long. I'm happy enough to watch robots shooting and all of that. The human element of it, I don't care. I mean, look at you guys know I'm a bad movie aficionado anyway. I love them, but a bad movie does not need to be 2.5 hours long. I mean,
hour and a half.
Yeah,
hour and a half would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been absolutely perfect. I think that's the main issue for me with any of these three, is that they were just too long. I mean, I know, it's been discussed to death how Michael Bay movies and the characters don't have much depth. It focuses on the shooting and the fancy explosions and that and whatnot. And you know what? That's all fine. I don't watch every fucking movie for emotional depth. Sometimes, yes, I just want to watch robots shoot each other.
Yeah.
But I don't need to do it for 2.5 hours. Is I think what I learned.
They are slightly too long, but the one of the biggest issue I've got with the first movie is we spend an hour and 50 minutes waiting to see Megatron, and then he's in it for 5 minutes, and it's the end of the film. There's no real antagonist throughout the movie for it properly. It's the promise of one as you go through the entire thing, and it's more. I'm talking about depth. There's more depth in the crack of Megan Fox's arse in this film than there is in the rest of any of the characters, and it's so exploitative of her and her body, and just the gratuitous shots of her leaning over cars and over motorbikes, and it's a wank fest for some people. It's got to be said.
Well, it's like Michael Bay himself said, I make movies for teenage boys. I mean, good for him. He knows what he's about. And I think, you were just saying there about the lack of depth, and it's like, I don't care.
No.
Yes, but that's why they do it after us.
It's not what you press play on this movie for. It's not. And if that's what you were looking for, do you know what? I think somebody who would have any kind of a narrative about the depth of a Transformers movie, I think they're like the epitome of somebody I would be terrified of ending up sitting next to in a pub. Can you imagine that? Imagine just being sat in a bar with a pint, minding your own business, and some clown starts going on about the depth of Transformers movie. And
you know what?
Let me explain the philosophy of the Transformers.
I don't want to meet them.
I don't care about the depth of it. I don't care about the depth of it. I was promised Transformers. Where are they? Where are the Transformers? These aren't Transformers. These are big bang shooty robots. These are big bang shooty robots. It's not Optimus Prime. Megatron is abysmal. Bumblebee is a VW Beetle. What have they done to the Transformers? What did they do to it? Arseholes. They've ruined it. That's it. They've ruined it.
No,
I don't mind the first movie. It's setting up a world and everything like that. I don't think you need your villain and everything straight away. The arrival of Autobots, living mechanical creatures, is enough for a while. I can see you can bring in your villains at the end of it. You've got enough going on there. That's fine. From your second onwards, you want it going straight away to have all of that. But I didn't mind the first one. I really didn't. I quite enjoyed the first one, to be honest.
The problem I have with the first movie is the fact that there's not enough robots, there's not enough Transformers. we, as being G1 kids, we watched the cartoon, we watched the movie, watched the series, and the dialogue and the storylines and the action was all about the Autobots versus Decepticons.
Yeah.
And they got a couple of humans in it, but that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
And they reversed it up for the movie. It was all about the humans and the humans talking and the human plot lines and the human stories, and there wasn't any interaction. There wasn't interaction between the Transformers like there should have been.
Yeah, but I think you're getting onto another kind of Michael Bay trademark there, and that's the kind of the extreme patriotism. So he needed to get the American army in. He just needed to, and they're humans, and they'll put those robots in their place, whatever side they're on. It was Team America. That's what I thought when I was watching it.
That element is all through all six of them that you watch.
Yeah, and I mean that this is like Team America with robots, and I actually just the next Transformers movie, I want Trey Parker and Matt Stone to direct it. I think they'd pull it. I would pay double to see that.
I mean, let's be honest. This movie wasn't Transformers. This movie was a remake of the Transformers and G.I. Joe comics that was out in the 80s. Because that's exactly what it is. It's Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Well, what I was reading was that it was originally supposed to be a G.I. Joe movie, but I think because it was so close to, I think it was 9/11, they were like, no, we're not doing military stuff. We're going to do robots instead. That was Hasbro's decision. But then they got Michael Bay to do it, so it's full of army anyway.
Yeah, that would make sense then. That explains something that I've always wondered about.
I mean,
full of humans and not Transformers.
There's not much else you can really say about this movie because it is a setup. It's the Autobots come. Bumblebee's there already, which we find out later why he's there because it is tied up later on with Bumblebee. They come, they turn into cars, they find Megatron. There's a little bit of a fight. The end. There's nothing really else to put to it. That is the basis of this movie. It's a setup movie. And
and I think that the bigger problem with the fight at the end was that it was like the whole movie is so explosive and action filled. And there's so many fights throughout that I don't know. I just don't feel it had any impact. Like normally in a movie, there's like smaller fights throughout. So then the bigger one at the end has more impact. But I think throughout this, all of the fights were just so big that by the end, it's like, oh, here's another fight. It just didn't.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday, and I'd say, I watched the animated yesterday. I watched Transformers one the day before, and yeah, I completely agree. That last fight at the end almost slipped by me simply because it was only equivalent to every other fight that you'd seen along the whole story.
Yeah, and especially when the movie is 2.5 hours long. I mean, by the time you get to the last 20 minutes, it's already been too fucking long for all this.
Yeah, never have I watched this movie to
maybe a 2-hour first movie. Yeah, fine. You're doing all setup. You're waiting. You probably got your first half hour. You should have like waiting for the Transformers to properly appear. Just little shadowy nods to them before that, and then an hour and a half of solid Transformer movie is really what it should have been, but it wasn't. It was 2.5 of a Bayformer movie.
Yeah.
I can forgive it a bit because it's the first one, and I still quite enjoyed it. It's the first time you'd seen them, like, real life, but...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
There's still that, whoa, fantastic seeing this stuff actually on the screen. It's not till later that you actually slag off the first movie. For years, the first movie would just be thought, fantastic, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Once the second and third movie, though, Jesus Christ, everything went rapidly downhill for a while.
I think for me with the second movie, like how do I describe this? The first one was the pointless fun that I expected.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it just somehow was stupid. Like the first one was pointless, but the second one was pointless and stupid.
Yeah.
I think especially the first maybe half hour when he was going to college and all that. I don't care.
No,
What's this?
Human story. I don't want human story.
Megan Fox in a pair of heels again. Great, lovely, but I don't care.
I mean, for me, the second movie is what the first one should have been. I love the second movie. It's great. It takes elements of a G1 lore, and it's just great. The Fallen is wonderful. Megatron he's there. He's doing something. It's great, even though he's Fallen's bitch. Oh, I love the second movie. It's great. The clanking balls of the Constructicon. Oh, it's wonderful.
And you know what?
I just love it. It's a massive robot fest that I wanted the first one to be.
It was
what I hate about the second one is the human elements of stupid Sam Witwicky having a spacker attack in college.
We'll have to edit that out.
and his mom getting stoned on weed cakes. I mean, just cut all that shit out. Cut Megan Fox's arse out. On the robots. It's great. I could recut Fallen and make it a work of art.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I lose track between 2 and 3. Was it the second one that had the giant jet that like gives its parts to?
Jetfire. Yeah, and
I like that.
Optimus Prime dies like he does in the G1 cartoon, and they bring him back, and he has the parts of Jetfire come on to him. So he's a super Energon beefed up Optimus Prime. Jesus Christ, I'm getting an erection just sitting here talking about it. I absolutely
no one noticed.
It.
Oh, how terrible.
It does that. Revenge of the Fallen is great. It's wonderful. I love it.
That second film,
which is great.
That second film, I remember sitting in the cinema going, all right, okay. The first one was dreadful, but come on, something's going to happen now. We know they're going to try and pinch elements from G1. I've got the sort of the holy grail that is the animated movie. They're going to get elements of that. They're going to get this right. And almost immediately, like you say, who cares about Sam Witwicky going to college and all that? The unforgivable moment for me, and it's not very often when I'm in a movie theatre and my head drops. When I saw those clanging balls, I just went, oh, God, what have they done that for? And then you've got the two street sort of, that the gold tooth and all that. I'm like, why did they do that? What on earth were they thinking?
Those were your complaints, not the attractive human woman who suddenly turns out to be a transformer. Suddenly transformers, instead of looking like mechanical objects, have developed the ability to look just like humans, only with giant mechanical tongues.
Yeah.
But I think picking up what both Mark and Dave have said, like if you cut out all that shit about Sam going to college and his mum getting stoned and all that, that would shave the half hour off that makes it too long. It would bring it back down to a really tidy 2-hour movie.
Yeah, like I said, I could do a cut on that and make it a cracker. I mean, what a lot of people.
I love.
What a lot of people forget.
You say that Starfire sort of bits where he's giving all his bits to Optimus Prime and everything. My main issue is 2 and 3 in my brain, even though I've watched them just this past week, 2 and 3 meld into each other.
Yeah.
The problem with 2, and what a lot of people forget, is when they was making it, was in the middle of the Writers Guild strike in 2008, which completely shagged them because they was doing it. It was they got the plot elements, they got most of the script done, and they literally could do no work on that script for nearly 4.5 months.
You can tell.
And they started shooting the movie without the script complete. And then it was just go in, just throw robots in, put the balls in there, do this, do that. And they had to chuck the movie together. I think if it wasn't for that strike, we would have had a more of a solid movie.
If I ever work out time travel, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back in time and stop that strike just to see how Transformers 2 would have turned out better.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it'd turn out exactly the same.
That is a time.
That's how Michael Bay makes his films. He's got half an idea and a load of effects, and he throws them all together, and you see what happens. And sometimes it's brilliant, sometimes it's not. Except for Pain and Gain, which was absolutely brilliant.
I have one issue with Revenge of the Fallen, is when Sam dies, he goes to Transformers Heaven. What the hell was that all about?
That's your one problem with that film.
Yeah, that's my one problem.
My
one problem. It makes no sense.
Mentally unstable.
Why Sam is there as a chosen one, talking to the Transformers elders, where explaining how the Fallen was one of the cast outs, and they explained to him where everything was, and everything was that was the point where I thought, oh, they've screwed this last bit up, and that does irritate me, really does. But then Optimus Prime comes back and it's all okay, because there's a big fight in the desert and there's Transformers there, and then blowing the shit out of each other. Oh, it's just great.
I just thought it was shit. I thought it was terrible. I thought I couldn't wait for it to end. And I remember seeing that going, I'm never going to see a Transformers film again. I thought that was me done then. And then I stupidly went and bought this when it was released on again on the popular Blu-ray format. So they decided to do Dark of the Moon and sealed its fate as an appalling film, because they took genuinely unbelievable stuff. And then the third one, if I get it right, is the one where there's just shit flying everywhere. There's like, isn't this the one where there's cubes and just sort of whoa? And you're like,
the Battle of Detroit or something, is it?
They don't even hold it together. It's just stuff going whoa, and you go, what's happening? What is going on?
I can't remember a thing from the third movie.
Last two.
Ronan, you're spot on. It's so bad and so much shit going on. You don't know it. I forgot that Leonard Nimoy was in it. It's just dull, repetitive nonsense.
It's so forgettable. It's so forgettable. And like, I mean, even though like I was saying, the standout part for the second movie was the really awful bit about like Sam going to college, and that it's terrible, but I remember it.
Yeah.
And 3 doesn't even have that.
No.
The human element with Sam is all of a sudden Megan Fox has disappeared, that it isn't like each other, but it's okay because Sam is such a nerd and such a god. He managed to pull another model who's got blonde hair, and again,
he's so good. Paul Jason Statham's girlfriend. He's brilliant.
But what pisses me off about her is she, no matter what Optimus does, no matter what Starscream does, no matter what shit's going on with Sentinel Prime, she is the only person who can go and talk to Megatron and go and get him to go and kick ass. That pisses me off. Really irritates me. She doesn't have to talk to him and wind him up, and he has a bitch fit and goes and kicks the shit out of Sentinel Prime. Irritates the shit out of me, that ending does, when he does that.
I don't remember any of this.
And I bet you've only watched it within the last few days.
Yeah, I watched it on Sunday, I think.
Yeah, Dark of the Moon is good because they take a lot of elements of the G1 stories. You bring back Sentinel Prime, who was one of the elders. He was hidden on the back of the moon, which is fair enough. We can't see the dark side of the moon. There's a good chance there's something there. I can cope with that. He comes back. He always had a plan to use Earth for all its resources. It is a bit of a double edge going on with him and Megatron that we don't know about until a bit later. He tries to bring Cybertron back, which is the exact same story element that happens in one of the G1 cartoons. A big fight kicks off, and Optimus Prime rips Megatron's head and spine off.
You're happy because it uses some elements of the cartoon. That's brilliant. I just find that 2 and 3 completely meld into each other. I lose track in memory. I've watched them over the past couple of days, and they still meld into each other. I'll have elements. I was thinking, Leonard Nimoy's in number 2. No, it's number 3 that he's in. I can't remember that. I can hardly tell them apart. They're just, pew, pew, ding, brown, change, things are going on. Crap human story, lots of action. It just didn't have anything. At least the first one had something about it, even though it was lagging.
I think what probably happened with 3 was that, like, Michael Bay heard everybody's complaints about there being too much human element in the previous ones and just took all that out in favor of more shooting robots, which, you know, would be a good idea, except it was still 2.5 damn hours.
They did move focus to the Transformers for this one, which was better because it was a call back to G1. This was something going on with the Transformers that was more important than was going on with the humans for a change. Which
I love.
They can price of Jurassic Park 3 and gone for that hour and a half, hour 45 maybe. That'd be it.
I mean, if you're making it blatantly obvious that it's just a cash in anyway, like just get it over and done with.
Isn't Dark of the Moon that one that inexplicably took $1 billion and absolutely stormed it in China because it was almost that was the market it was made for and everything else was go hang.
Yeah, a lot of it was filmed in China and a lot of it had Chinese money behind it when they're hunting them down.
I thought that was Age of Extinction.
Oh no, that's Age of it's Egypt. You get it mixed up. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I've got to point out through the whole of this franchise is it's the best advert for product placement for the movie industry you could ever see. As everything jumping out in it. We got Mountain Dew dispensers turning into robots. We got Xboxes turning into robots. Everything, if it's for sale, it's there. Burger King's there. McDonald's is there. KFC, Pepsi, Coke, everything's thrown at you.
It's brilliant, but the next week's one that we do is 4 and 5. That's where it's brilliant with Mark Wahlberg and the bottles of Bud.
But, you know, I mean, my son's 11, right? When I was his age and I saw, younger than him, and I saw that first Transformers.
Wait a second, you love Transformers this much and you've got children.
Yeah. Now, when I saw the animated movie and had those toys in my hand, it was brilliant, right? I bought into it. I had that feeling. I didn't get a feeling. I didn't care. Hang on, just bear with me a second. I'll cut this bit out. It's just about the 10-minute timer. I didn't care enough about these Transformers. I just couldn't care. I was almost ambivalent to it. So by the time it got to 2 and 3, I'm like, I don't care if Optimus dies. I watch the animated one now, and when Optimus Prime says this, and I am going to play it because this is how you do Transformers properly.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Right, when you hear that line, when you're a small boy, I feel it now. I'm like, oh, this is it. I know what's going to happen next. He's going to charge in. He's going to shoot Decepticons. That's going to happen. I didn't care. He was a bumbling buffoon. Megatron was.
What was great though? They used the same voice. That's what I love. That they used the same guy who voiced Optimus in the cartoons to voice him actually in the movies.
I'll give you that. Tick. They didn't even go for the original Megatron voice. They went for Hugo Weaving. He didn't like Megatron's voice. I mean, how far wrong can they get? They said, oh, that's Scorponok. That's not Scorponok. That's not Soundwave. That's not Starscream. That's not Wheeljack. That's not Bumblebee. That's not Optimus Prime. It's a complete... It just lost it. And nobody cares.
Yeah, to be fair, they hated Bumblebee's voice that much. They made him a radio voice. Tune into whatever.
I know what we'll do. Just to really upset it, we're going to make them all new again. Why? Why do you need a new Optimus Prime? Why do you need a Chevrolet Camaro? Just use the original cast. Who cares? People have gone to see that. Oh mate, honestly, my hatred and not hatred, my disappointment just grew more and more to a point where I just didn't care. And then even the relative, you sort of you give yourself a bit of sense of disbelief. All right, it's robots that turn into cars. When in the third one, when those cubes are flying around and stuff's detached from themselves, you're like, God, this is not even believable anymore. This is just crap. Just get it over.
Preach, Dave, preach.
Oh, God, it's just dreadful. And they made 2 more. I mean, it's just painful. And no, it's big shooty robots. The biggest problem I've got with these films is it's not Transformers. They are Transformers in copyright brand only. I'd be ashamed. I hope Michael Bay and the creators go to bed at night on the top of a large pile of money and go, yeah, we really got that wrong, didn't we?
With beautiful women.
Yeah, on top of a pile of money. With beautiful ladies.
Fantastic cars in the giant mansions with the swimming pools full of cash. Thinking, oh, damn, I got that wrong.
No integrity or respect for the original art form, which was cartoons based on toys, and they made a show and a brilliant movie based on toys that were made, and they lost it, and they're never going to get that back. It's just awful.
Now, that's where you're actually wrong, because I made a shit ton of money from 2009 to about 2013 on Transformers, the new Transformers from the movie. I sold absolutely shitloads of the movie Transformers. You were saying about your kids haven't taken it on, but a lot of kids have. You've got the old school Transformers buying in, you've got the new kids buying it in, and they ate it up like nobody's business from 2009 till about 2013.
Yeah, but you forget.
Look at Harry Nelson, he loves that stuff.
Yeah, but you're forgetting one bit though. They're wrong because they're not Transformers. They're just robots.
Have you tried transforming the movie Transforming Robots?
Yeah,
They rock hard.
Absolute crap.
But going back to the movies, right? We've looked at the first three, and it's the Sam Witwicky trilogy. How do you feel it works as a trilogy, and his story from 1 through to 3?
I still rank 1 as number 1 because it had something about it. The other 2 and 3 fade into each other for me. I don't really care that much about them. I thought there were elements of fun. As Ronan said, if they could have trimmed that down to about hour and a half, hour and 3/4, cut out a lot of the human story, I'd have been very happy with them because they were treats for the eye sort of thing. 1 was the only one that I actually watched, and it took my attention, and because it was the first time I was seeing it, I enjoyed it. So that's the only one that really sticks with me. I would probably go 1, 3, 2 because I quite enjoyed the battle at the end of 3.
I go 3, 2, 1 on the trilogy.
Ed Rogers, nice.
Oh,
yeah, I do like 1 because it set it up, but I can't help myself if it's giant robots fighting giant robots. I don't give a shit about the story or anything else. I just sit, turn brain off, watch giant robots kicking the shit out of each other, and I just love every moment of it. It's escapism for me.
I think you must have turned your brain off because you put 1 as like the last one, and 1's the only one that's got any real film merit to it.
But what I'm saying is it's 3, 2, 1, not because 1 is shit. It's because I think all 3 are brilliant.
Yeah, you're looking at it as a visual spectacle, not as a film.
Yeah, but so the third one beats the other 2 because I love the story elements of 3. The second one, I like the
story elements.
Yeah, from a G1 perspective, I mean from the fact that they've decided to push the humans to the one side a little bit more and concentrate more on the Transformers.
From where they're having the battle and jumping between the buildings and everything, where it's all human stuff.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
I'll make this brief because we only have a few minutes left, and we will go on to another one if we need to. As Transformers films, by default, with a heavy heart, number 1 is ranked number 1 for me. In the, it's and I don't care about what ranks as 2 and 3. They are abysmal. I'll go 1, 3, 2. I'll go 1, 3, 2 because something marginally, slightly G1 bettery happens in 3. Revenge of the Fallen is an appalling film. So 1, 3, 2 for me.
Yeah. I would just say 1, 2, 3, just because I can't remember 3 because it was that pointless.
Are you sure you're thinking of 3 and not 2 because they do fade into each other really bad?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not committing too much to this.
As long as number 1's number 1, 2 and 3 can be any position because I like the Starfire bits in 2. And I kind of like the battle as well that they reference throughout 4 and 5, really, in 3.
Well, next week,
as long as number 1 is, as long as the first one is number 1 and 2 and 3 are in the bin, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, next week we're going to rank all 6 in one go, so that'll be interesting.
God.
What's happening with this bad boy?
Dave, do you want to stop it and start it again so we can do a bonus chat about the animated one?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So we are recording slightly in a different format, but that's quite nice. So I feel dirty having talked about not Transformers. So why don't we talk about Transformers the movie, the actual Transformers,
Transformers the advert.
It's great.
And what an advert it was!
Yeah.
We finished with Bayformers, more than meets the eye.
So I think we can all agree the biggest mistake they made was killing the main characters far too early in the film.
We're on about the animated movie now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that first 20 minutes is fantastic until they do basically just slaughter every character that they can. I mean, there's some surviving, but you kill off Optimus Prime. I mean, okay, as a child, if you watch it, then it's heart wrenching for you. I mean, how many kids would have come out of that cinema crying their eyes out?
Yeah,
Heart wrenching, but you've got to look at it from a business perspective. And if you look at it from a business
No,
perspective,
you look at it from a
no,
perspective.
but that's
That's
the way the movie was made. The movie was made to sell more toys, and by 1986, 87,
that doesn't make it good.
You know, the toy line was dropping tremendously, and Hasbro turned around and said, "We will fund the movie as long as you use the movie to launch a new toy line of Transformers." And that is what they did. So the idea was, yes, here's a load of money. Go and make the movie. It's going to be a great advert for our new toy line of Transformers that we want to put together. Here are the new Transformers. Now go and put those new Transformers into the movie and make them the centerpiece of the movie. And the movie makers wrote a story based on that premise, put it together, and that's what we got. And from that perspective, it's an excellent piece of marketing. The only problem is Hasbro did not understand their audience and their customer base. You don't go and kill off all your favorites and expect the customer base to then go and buy all the new ones, because they've got no vested interest in all the new ones. And even though the movie is great and holds up still all these years to come, the movie, which was supposed to really focus on relaunching Transformers, killed the Transformers toy line dead overnight.
You know what it did? It gave the completists an out. All those that have got to have every toy, you think, oh, well, that's the end of my line now. I can stop collecting these now. I'll start doing something else. Not I'll collect the next line that they throw out. It gave the completists who need everything an out instead.
I mean, they really tried everything as well after the movie. They did the Headmaster series where the heads all turned into... Yeah, the Beast Wars didn't come till a lot later. Oh, the Beastmaster, sorry, yeah. Then the Robot Masters, they tried everything to keep the Transformers toy line coming, and it was too late. All that they killed it overnight. It was the worst decision ever made from the best idea ever made. It's just crazy.
All right.
They gave them and people took the out.
But
instead of being, oh, this is the next level to jump onto, they went, oh, well, this is where I jump off now and forget this.
But despite all that, the movie's great and it holds up well. And the soundtrack,
yeah, I watched it.
It's a cracking film. It is a cracking film. It's great. It's emotive.
You can tell the money that Hasbro threw at them to go and take it. The people that got on board to do it. You got Orson Welles for a start. This was the last movie he did.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
The money they throw at, you got Leonard Nimoy there again. And
Eric Idle.
Eric Idle's in there.
Was it Judd Nelson as a hot rod?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even realise that Eric Idle was in it till I was listening to it. That's Eric Idle.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's got a great story. I think it's fantastically paced. It's just got enough human elements in there that you care just a little bit for Daniel and Spike, just to get away with it.
Oh, no,
puke, you know.
I'll tell you what threw me just a little bit. It was that first probably about 15 minutes where the art was really dark and manga. It wasn't even the normal Transformers art. They switched it and made it really dark and manga. It looked more like the old Battle of the Planets sort of art. There's lots of dark in it. I said, when I watched the first film, I was thinking, why is this so dark? Then I watched the animated, and the first 50 minutes, oh, it's just like that. There's where the carry-on comes from.
That animation style continued with series 3 and 4 of the Transformers when they got Galvatron in the TV series and the return of Optimus Prime. That slightly mangaed feel and everything else. And later on series like the Voyager Force and stuff like that, it is proper manga and you can't even get an English dub version now. It's all in Japanese. You have to read the subtitles. It's just crazy the way it went. Yeah, it's crazy the way it went. But one thing that stands out for me from the movie is what a complete and utter shit leader Ultra Magnus is. What a complete got no time for him. And you can't tell Ultra
I'm
Magnus
just a soldier Optimus. So was I.
Oh, he was such a scaredy shit pantsy wet blanket.
For a massive Optimus Prime clone, it's like, good God, you're crap. you make Rodimus Prime look fantastic.
Yeah. Ronan, did you manage to sit through this again?
Yes, I sat through it last night, and it was, well, all I kept thinking was, why couldn't Michael Bay have just done this, but with real robots?
Yep.
And that would have been fine. The length is fine. The pacing is fine. And it's just, apart from, like, as I said, like, it's got really, really dark elements to it. I don't really have anything further to say about that. And, it was
as well.
And it was a toy ad, and, it was just, yeah, it's just a good movie. That's all there is to it. It's a good standalone movie.
Back to what you were saying about why didn't Michael Bay do this? There is a little bit of faith when you watch the first 10, the introduction to Bumblebee. It is possible, and fingers crossed we've got it coming. Dave, you've got that luxury to come when you watch Bumblebee. There is some faith, believe me.
Okay.
That little crossover thing that was done recently, where they used that opening music and sound from the first 10 minutes on the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee as a little crossover thing on the internet, the deep faking sort of thing. That's wonderful. That makes you think what could have been, because Bumblebee looks amazing, and crossed with that sound was just brilliant.
And that news we had the other day about they are actually making the prequel movie set on Cybertron. I think if that's the way they're going to go with it, I can't wait. It will be great.
No. Fantastic. As what threw me, the fact it looked like Battle of the Planets type art as well at first.
But who saw that coming? That Hot Rod was going to become Rodimus Prime at the end.
Rodimus Prime does sound like a porn star name.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
they used the touch in Boogie Nights. There's a nice little link there.
Yeah. I mean,
that's one of the things you've got to mention, though. The music in Transformers, the movie, the animated movie, is brilliant. Yeah. It's fantastic stuff. That Stan Bush soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Dare and the Touch are just brilliant.
I love the animated movie. There are a few bits where you're like, okay, so they can get Ultra Magnus, and he gets destroyed and gets blown into very nice, neat pieces. They get a bit of WD-40 on Junkytron and some rags, and they fix him. You think, oh wow, is that how easy it is? The biggest thing for me, I remember the first time I saw that, and actually the first time I saw it was Mark had seen it the night before, and I don't know if you can remember this, Mark. And I remember Paul and I came downstairs, and you went, "Wait till you see this." We said what you said. You won't believe it. So we switched it on, and it was.
Did he charge?
What they going
to charge them?
Not.
Yeah, I'd expect so. I'd expect you were charging them.
It was amazing. It was dark. It was gritty. It was brilliant. And it loses its way a little bit, and then they bring it back. And Unicron's a brilliant, fantastic character to have in. And I hated Galvatron and some of those bits there. It was a bit naff. And Galvatron eventually got ruined as the animated show went on. But as a standalone film, like Ronan said, actually it's a cracking little film. Looks great. Soundtrack is brilliant. The touch when Megatron, when Optimus Prime says he's going to go and kill Megatron, and he launches out of his truck position with his gun, and he just assassinates loads of Decepticons. Just stands there and just blows them away. You're like, he's
straight up murking them. He's just bang bang down.
Amazing. Why didn't Michael Bay? He clearly didn't. Why didn't he just sit there and watch that and go, "Oh, you want me to do that? Yeah, I can do that." I'd have loved that.
One thing that stands out for me is when Starscream kicks Megatron off Blitzwing, Astro Wing out in space.
Yeah,
but I'm still functioning. You really?
And Unicron picks him up, and that music starts, and you hear Orson Welles' voice as Unicron, and turns him into Galvatron. Oh, it's just bliss.
Orson Welles' voice, though, it is wonderful, isn't it? I mean, to say it's the last thing you did, it's so sad, but I mean, it's Orson Welles, and he sounds brilliant. Reading the Star Wars style crawl at the beginning, it's ace.
And who loves the assassination of King Starscream, though? That's just wonderful.
And once again, Leonard Nimoy, that's a nice crossover for the film, that Leonard Nimoy is, okay, he's old Galveston, he's Gaviscon, and he's saving back in there again. Fantastic.
One character that does irritate me is Wreck-Gar, voiced by Eric Idle. That gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but it's I wasn't expecting it, and I was mildly entertained by it. It's just a bit too ridiculous.
And then we've got our first female Transformer as well, RC.
Yeah, why is there only one? It's like the Smurfs then. There's only one of them that they all breed with.
Yeah, the only.
Seems she's bashed a bit down there.
She's the queen.
She all the little ones breed with her, the big ones breed with her. She's got, talk about a solar pit. I mean, that must be destroyed down there, really. Jesus Christ.
I'm all right with RC and that. And you've got, is it the kid? Is it Daniel that gets the exosuit?
Yeah.
It's great. It's a great little story.
And why's the kid got a normal name, but his dad's called Spike?
Yeah, well.
How the hell's that?
People don't name themselves, Martin. They don't name themselves.
So the dad was Spike.
Not like they're cartoon characters or anything.
Spark
That's
Plug,
the old game. That's a solid name.
You had
Spike
and Daniel. Yeah, you had Sparkplug, Spike and Daniel. Yeah, there we go. That was it.
The one thing that irritates me about this movie, though, is what doesn't stand out isn't the end of the movie. What stands out is the fight between Optimus and Megatron.
Yeah.
Because if you go to most people and say, what's the best bit of the film, they always say,
first 20.
How many people, I mean, you've watched it recently, so you can say, how does the movie end?
Because Unicron's blown up at the end and the head comes off and everything like that.
I can tell you exactly how it ends. You're told by the narrator, it'll be all right. Optimus Prime's coming back. We know they made a mistake.
That was the one thing. They must have made them put that in afterwards. They must have decided we're not going to do anything, and then they watch it and see probably have a test audience with all kids crying and go, okay, we've got to say at the end that Optimus Prime's coming back. That's the only way we can stop the kids.
At the end, then? What does he come up on the screen? Optimus
No.
Return?
He says
they say it.
He actually says, and your new and your the Autobot leader, Optimus Prime will return. It's actually said by the narrator at the end of the movie.
Because that wasn't there. They must have put that on later on DVD releases.
No, I remember it years ago. I'm with Martin. I think there was a screener audience who've said, "What the hell?"
The kids are crying.
Yeah, you've just
kids are crying. They won't stop crying.
Yeah, I think that's what's done because it was in the. I remember it, Mark, all those years ago. And your favourite lead, your Optimus, your Autobot leader, Optimus Prime, will return. It was almost like, oh, thank God, they're bringing him back.
It took, I think, it was 6 episodes of season 3 to bring him back because they marketed in the UK on a DVD and a video format, the Return of Optimus Prime, and put the 3 episodes together like a little mini movie to bring him back.
I remember. But yeah, great film. I'm
completely with you guys though. That first 20 minutes is what you always remember. Okay, I'll remember the end because I watched it 3 times yesterday, ridiculously. And just for that voiceover at the end going, and yes, your leader Optimus, the great and glorious leader Optimus Prime will return.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that and the fact it was Orson Welles saying it, I doubt that I'd remember that.
So I vaguely remember, does it
be with me forever?
Get the Matrix and hold it up and then turn into Rodimus Prime and then go and kick Unicron's arse?
No, he opens the Matrix,
stops all the blasts.
And the blast off it kills Unicron.
You kill see what I mean? And that's I haven't watched it for a couple of years, but
Unicron's like just spinning into space as the whole body, and then suddenly you get the explosion, and the head comes floating out past you, and then it goes to the titles, and don't worry, your great and glorious leader Optimus Prime will return.
And then even the rock soundtrack version of the original theme tune, Transformers, is brilliant. Oh, nothing! I'm going to get that soundtrack again. Nothing's going to stop that. That's just great.
I'm waiting for Def Leppard to do a Transformers cover version album.
Great film.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Great film. Great soundtrack. Great toys. A mistake killing Optimus, but they fixed it. And then 15 years later, they did this.
I still want to see Cybertronic Spree. They're a band who dress up as Transformers. They're Canadian.
Yeah.
And
I wish I was in America so I could go with you. I really want to go. I've watched their videos and they're fantastic. I mean, they must have changed the lead singer, bass player, guitarist sort of thing around a few times, but I think they look fantastic. I love the tune. Their version of The Touch is great.
Yeah.
If we got that on the doorstep.
So, I think we're all agreed
that
the animated film, which doesn't form part of our ranking, is
the best.
Yeah, it's the best one.
That's the best. We all agree that's the best.
Yeah.
Everything. I think, frankly, when we do the ultimate ranking, Sonic will just stick that number one, and everything else can come after it.
I think that's fair.
The video for it on its own, it's gotta be.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. So we're going to go Transformers, the animated movie, 1984, solid. That'll be number one. And then not Transformers in whichever particular order Mark decides he prefers, because I stopped it after Dark of the Moon. And I'm sure you will both do all the same. We'll just go, whatever.
Do one.
Because my
John,
God.
Watch Bumblebee, you will change your mind about live action Transformers.
Well,
that's cool. We don't ruin it now.
And on that, believe it or not, we've actually got to do a part 2 and conclude the Michael Bay.
But we have got the saving grace of Bumblebee coming up. We have got the saving grace. Fantastic soundtrack, just like the animated movie.
So those of you who've sat through this and watched me pissing and moaning about Transformers, please feel free to argue with me and disagree. Or if you're like Mark and think they are solid works of art, then feel free to comment, like, share, respond, whatever you think, or
talk about it.
So on that, thank you, Ronan, thank you, Woody, thank you, Mun.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll stop it there, and there we go.
All right.
He's live from New York. We're all stuck here in the UK. Coronavirus alert.